وأتم نعمته علينا بهداية الحيدرية ونصلي ونسلم على سيد من خلق المؤمن الحق بالحق حبيب إلهنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
صلى الله عليه وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهداة المهديين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يوم إضافته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم كن وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وواعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. وأما بعد فقد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه المجيد وقوله الحق إن أول بيت وضع للناس للذي ببكة مباركا وهدى للعالمين فيه آيات بينات مقام إبراهيم ومن دخله كان آمنا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum. Just one point to what Brother Aslam Hashim just said about time and timekeeping. The respect for these majalises is something that we have to keep hammering through to people. The majalis of Imam Hussein is something that, like I said last night, someone like Habib ibn Mazahir wished that he could participate in these majalis. It is said through our hadith, ahadith, that Imam Sadiq says that if two of you sit together, anywhere, whether it's in your house, whether it's in the car, wherever you are, just two of you, and one of you just mentions the name Hussein, as soon as the name is mentioned, Imam Sadiq says the spirit of my mother Zahra becomes present in that place. So, if BB Park is here on time, and we are not here on time, we are disrespecting BB Park. This is the reality. I know some of you might get upset by this. The Malaika spread their wings, for the Fajr Azan. This is why they say when you step in, step lightly, because you're stepping on the angel's wings. Thirdly, the point here is this, that this time is not counted as part of your life. Same as doing the ziyarat of Imam Hussein. Whenever you go to Karbala and come back, this is not written as part of your life. So whoever is in charge of the numbers of hours that you are meant to live on this earth will not calculate that part of the ziyarat, and also because this majalis is Karbala. You know, someone said to Imam Sadiq that if you wanted dua to be accepted, where do we go? He said, go under the dome of Karbala, under the dome of Hussein, pray that Allah will give you whatever you want. He said, what if I can't get to Karbala? Where do I go? He goes, go wherever there is the majalis of Hussein, because that is the extension of Karbala. And you see, if you have that certainty and realize that where you are coming, then believe me, you will be here on time, you will come every night, and then you would wish that this majalis never end. See, this is the viewpoint here, and this is really upsetting. And I mean, I used to do this when I was younger myself, you know. We used to hang around outside. When it was Martin time, we used to come in, and this was the way, you know. The people used to come and tell us off, the people who were running the majalises, you know, they used to come and chase us sometimes in the street, go and sit inside with your parents. This is what we used to do, so I can't say this is something that, you know, now, practice what you preach, but honestly, by standing outside, especially in this weather, A, getting cold, it's freezing outside, smoking, polluting the air, polluting your lungs. And then as soon as Martin starts coming in, Martin is good, Martin is something that is highly recommended, but you are not increasing your knowledge. A Shia without knowledge is no use to Imam Zaman. Why do you think all these majalises are here for? Why? I mean, I always said my niyat is that, and tonight's majalis is a little bit more khususi, it's a bit more private, it's got that feel to it. I always say these majalises are there so we prepare ourselves for Imam Zaman. And believe me, this is one miracle that is happening now that maybe we don't even realize this miracle is happening. Do you know ISIS and Daesh is a miracle? Do you know that? Because everything they do, they are displaying the image of Yazid ibn Muawiyah. I mean, we could not have done this better ourselves, but they are doing our job for us. They are showing the world the face of the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. See, when they kill the Shias, when they target Hussein, when they target Karbala, when they target Zainabiyya, when they target Suri, they are showing exactly what Yazid did that on Karbala. So we can sit on the members, we can preach to our own Shia, but the outside world will not hear our voice. But what they are doing, and yesterday, after Arba'in, many of you who are on social media will have seen this, but an English website put out the picture of Bainul Haramain. And it showed that there was crowds from Bainul Haramain, and they said 20 million, this was the caption, and it was all over Facebook and on Twitter and everywhere. 20 million Muslims have united against ISIS. And people were writing underneath it, no, this is not against ISIS, this is for Hussein, but it doesn't matter, the advertising was there. They showed a picture of Bainul Haramain. These images would be recorded in people's minds and brains. Why? This is all preparation for Imam Zaman. And like I said, maybe last or the year before, the whole message of Hussein, what Hussein did at Karbala, Hussein laid the foundations for Mahdi. That's what Hussein did. When we say Ziyarat Arba'in liyastanqidha ibadika min al-jihala, Hussein gave his blood so that the ibad of Allah come out of jihala. We saw for many hundred years after Hussein, jihala actually grew. But today we see that promise of, and I said this at Arba'in, that Marbala Shurafa was never heard me say this, the promise of Hazrat Zainab when she said to Imam Sajjad, that Imam Sajjad, you see, Imam Sajjad could not cope with the grief at Karbala. He could not cope with the grief. It was immense. And let me tell you this thing as well. These things, because I'm going to put this aside now tonight's lecture, inshallah. These things is this. Unfortunately, some things become part of our custom and tradition. And our youngsters pick up on these things. And it becomes, and they never think about it, they never ponder about it, they never go back. One of the things is Bimar Karbala. This has become something they always say. That as soon as you mention Imam Sajjad's name, people think automatically, Bimar Karbala, some weak person who couldn't get up, who couldn't walk, he was sick, he was ill. Imam Sajjad was only sick for about 12 hours, that was it. We even have in our books that on the morning of Ashura, he got up, he put on the armor. Because this is jihad, Imam Zaman is called jihad, it's wajib upon them. So Imam Sajjad put on the armor. The armor was too long for him. So he used his imamah, his power in imamah. He tore the metal, the armor, he tore it with his hands. So how is this a imam, someone who's weak, who's zaif? No, this was the maslahat that Allah wanted this. Because these people they didn't have any mercy. They had no mercy on a 6-month-old, they had no mercy on anybody. They would have killed Imam Sajjad had he not been ill for that 12-hour window. So Imam Sajjad, when he saw that he couldn't go and fight, he couldn't go and participate, he couldn't help out his father, he could hear his father saying, and what did Imam Sajjad do? This is Allah, this is the same patience that Amir al-Mu'mineen had. 25 years, Ali wanted to draw the sword, but Allah had said to him, have patience, Ya Ali. This was killing him inside. Same as Imam Sajjad. So when the camel started to go past the body of Imam Hussein, Hazrat Sajjad threw himself off the camel. He was tied to the camel with a rope. Hazrat Zainab saw that if Imam Sajjad carries on this, it will strangle him. The rope will strangle him, will kill the Hujjat of Allah. So she ran towards him and she said, Sajjad, do not grieve for one day this land. Allah will bring people, millions upon millions upon millions. There will be a dome here, there will be flags flying. People will be coming to grieve for your father. Don't you grieve. So today we see the fruition of Hazrat Zainab's prophecy. 1400 years ago she made a prophecy, no one would believe it. Because even then for 100 years, 200 years, hardly anybody went to Karbala. Because they were fearful of their lives, they were scared of their lives. So people would not go. So you see these prophecies come to fruition in our time. You see Arba'in this year, the official figures from the Iraqi government, 35 million people.
Allahu Akbar.
The brain does not comprehend. You see, we say on the day of Arafat, because we're now talking about Mecca, and the Bait of God and the house of God in Mecca. They say in our traditions that on the day of Arafat, the land of Arafat expands. After Arafat is gone, it goes back again. Why? 2 million people maybe, 3 million Hajis that have gone. The land expands. What happens at Karbala? We don't have anywhere that this land expands. So how do you fit 35 million people in one small town? How do you fit 35 million people? How do you feed 35 million people? We said, Allah says that the house of God is in Makkah Mubarakah. See, this house is a miracle in itself. It's built on a land that was a desert land. Yet from that desert land, there was no running water, there was no vegetation, there was nothing. You have a well like Zamzam that is feeding people for many years. This land of Mecca became a trading point. Kafilas would come, kafilas would go. Mecca became a very rich town, a rich city. Even till today, you see this desert land. So this is a miracle of Allah. When Allah says the Barakah Mubarakah, this is a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The same as Karbala. Karbala was a desert land. Even though it was between two rivers, it was barren, it was desert. It didn't even have a name, which is why when Imam Hussein on the 2nd of Muharram, when he came, he asked this old man that was there, what is the name of this place? This is how unknown Karbala was. And I said this at Arba'in as well in Imam al-Arsh, that you have all heard of the city of Babylon. This is in the Bible, and it's also in the Quran, Babel. Yes? If you go on Wikipedia, Google it, Babylon, see what people are saying about Babylon. Babylon was the most inhabited city known to mankind in its time. It was the largest civilization in the world. Its hanging gardens were one of the 7 wonders of the world. It was such a beautiful city, it had such an amazing vista and view and everything like that Saddam decided to build a palace there. And you've all heard of this. He started to make bricks from gold in his palace with his face on it. And when they said, why are you building it in Babylon? He said, because Babylon is the pride of all Arabs. How far is Babylon from Karbala? About 15 miles. 10, 15 miles. Yet you go and see what is left of Babylon. Yes, go and see what is left of it today. Go and see. Allah says this in the Quran, Siru fil arz. Go and travel through this earth of mine. فَانْظُرْ كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Go and see what happened to these people before you. Go and see what happened to Saddam. Where is his palace? Yet come down the road, go to Karbala. And this is why, this is the other thing as well. Why did they not let the bodies be buried? This is the question. You see? They killed, it was a war, so they killed, no problems. They beheaded. Why did they behead? 2 reasons. Number one, that these bodies, no one would know who they were, so they couldn't bury them. Second reason, it was a trophy. The head was a trophy. So they would go, they would get a reward. Why did they trample the bodies? No. They trampled the bodies, even though they dismembered them. The bodies were dismembered. Sometimes in forensics, they want to find who this body is. They look for the pieces of the body. But the enemies knew this, because this is the way they think. When they have no knowledge, when they don't know that Allah is superior, that Allah has miracles, when they don't understand these things, they will think like a stupid human being thinks. A human being does not know who himself is, does not know who God is, will act in this way. So they said what we'll do is, we will dismember the body. Dismember them, then what we will do is we will trample it with horses. This is why, my younger brothers and sisters, when someone asks you, why do you beat your chest? Because this chest of Imam Hussein was trampled upon with the horses. Why did they make this do this? So no one would recognize who this was, and they did not allow anybody to bury any of the bodies. The only body that was buried was the body of Khurram Yazid al-Riyahi. And his was the only body that was not trampled on, and it was not beheaded. And I'll give you why this happened maybe now. So, the whole point was, they did not want Hussein ibn Ali's grave to become a visiting place for people. They did not want any trace of Hussein and his 72 companions to be left on this earth till the day of judgment. They thought that what will happen is the wolves will come in the desert, they will eat the bodies, they will eat it, and then after time this body will disintegrate in the sand, in the sun, and no one would ever remember who Hussein was. فَمَكَرُوا مَكَرَ اللَّهِ Allahu khairul makirin. See, my brother, these are all miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they did not allow any of this to happen. Another thing that when Yazid heard that the horses trampled on the body of Imam Hussein, do you know what he did? He called his Wazir, he said, go and bring every single horseman that was riding those horses, bring them to my court. They said, why? And he said, not only bring them, but bring their horses. When they brought the horses, Yazid said, get the hooves of these horses, the horseshoe, and make it into gold. From that day onwards, the golden horseshoe became a symbol of good luck and good fortune. And this is now carried on to today. And unfortunately, I have seen this. I went to a Shia house, brother. Outside the house, he had a golden horseshoe on his door. And I said to him, what is this? He said, oh, my one of my children bought it. They said it brings you good luck and good fortune. I said, do you know the history behind this? When I told him, believe me, that very time he went into his toolbox, he got a hammer and he started smashing the wall in his house. He said, we don't understand these things. Everything is a good luck symbol, so we have a golden horseshoe. No, this is what the history of it is. So you see, my brothers and sisters, when I say learn about yourself, learn about Imam Hussein, learn about history, then correlate everything that happened with Imam Hussein with the Quran, with the stories of Quran, you will see there is no difference between what happened to Ibrahim and what happened to Imam Hussein. What happened to Musa, what happened to Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein is everything. Everything. Going back to my topic, and I got a bit distracted. So we said last night that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the first house on this earth, and Allah said, that this house was made for humanity, for everybody. We then said last night, how can it be for humanity when there are 7 billion people on this earth, and maybe only 1 billion people face towards this house, and after that billion there's maybe only a handful that are true Muslims and true Hajis and make good use of this house. Then we said that Allah said this house was built on a land that was Mubarak. I already explained this. Then we said that Allah says this house is Hudan lil Alameen. This house is a guide for the whole world. Again, it goes back to how can this house be a guide for the whole world? It's a house. Yes, it might be a qibla, we may face towards it, but how is it actually guiding us? Is the question. فِيهَا آيَاتٌ بَيِّنَاتٌ. Allah says in this house is ayatun bayyinat. What does this mean? Why does Allah just say in this house is my ayahs? فِيهَا ayatullah. Why does Allah say this? But He says ayatun bayyinat. What does bayyinat mean? Bayyinat means there's clear evidence. So we look inside. How many of us have seen inside the house of Kaaba? How many have you seen it? You may find some again pictures on the internet, but have you actually seen inside it? So when Allah says inside this house is ayatun bayyinat, there's no use to us. What ayahs? What is in there? And like I said last night, we know that until the Fath of Mecca, the victory of Mecca, this house was full of idols. So are these idols the ayatun bayyinat? No. So see, this ayah is not very clear to us. Then Allah says, Maqam Ibrahim. And again, those of you who have been to Mecca will know there is a golden sort of a pillar. Inside there is a stone. This stone came from heaven. On it is the footprint of Hazrat Ibrahim. And on top of this is a glass stone. This is known as Maqam Ibrahim. In our fiqh, it says that when you do the tawaf, you have to do it behind this maqam. فِيهَا مَقَامُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا. Whoever enters Maqam Ibrahim towards the Kaaba is safe, is secure, safety. Again, this doesn't make sense. Because Imam Sadiq said to Abu Hanifa, he said, Abu Hanifa, I have heard that you started Quran tafsir classes. Imam Sadiq is here, but you have set up tafsir classes, it doesn't matter. Do you really understand the Quran that you are doing tafsir? Abu Hanifa is one of the 4 Imams of Ahl Sunnah. So he said to Abu Hanifa, what do you know of the Quran? He says, well, I've studied Quran and I'm in my own right. So he said, okay, do one tafsir for me right now in front of me, let me see how good you are. So he said, go on. give me an ayah to the tafsir for you. So Imam al-Sadiq recited this very ayah. When he got to Maqam Ibrahim, وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا, he said to Abu Hanifa, so what does this ayah mean? He said, look Imam, this is what it means. It means there is a Maqam there. Whoever goes behind this Maqam goes towards the house, they are in safety. So Imam al-Sadiq said to him, do you not remember Hajjaj ibn Yusuf? A month ago, he came to Mecca, he brought catapults with him, and he lined it up against the house, and the people got scared, so they all ran inside Masjid al-Haram, they locked the doors. Everyone went behind Maqam Ibrahim because they read the Quran, that man dakhalahu kana amina. What happened is the stones came and he hit the people, people got squashed, they got smashed to pieces, and they all died between Maqam Ibrahim and Kaaba. So how do you do tafsir of this ayah? Abu Hanifa looked and he said, I don't know the answer. But this is the reality. What does this ayah mean? You saw that Imam Hussein, when they said to him, why are you leaving Mecca and why are you not doing Hajj? First of all, this is wrong as well. Imam Hussein did not enter Hajj. He did not wear the ihram. He did not go there for the ritual of Hajj. So this is wrong when they say Imam left his Hajj halfway. What does, Imam Masud should not do this because it is haram. Imam did not do this. But one of the reasons he gave when they said, why are you leaving Mecca? He said, because I have seen the people wearing the sword underneath their ihram, that they're waiting for me to come into Masjid al-Haram and kill me between Maqam and the house. They're waiting to kill me. So this is not dakhala kana amina. So, what does this ayahs mean? And I said to you, this whole 5 nights is all about getting to know yourself. If you look at the doctors and the scientists and people who have studied genealogy and the human body, they will say that the first organ that Allah creates is the heart. The very first organ, when a baby is just, the cells are growing, the first organ is the heart. أَوَّلَ بَيْتٍ is the heart. وَزَأَ لِلنَّاسِ, Allah has created the heart for every single human being. Every single human being has this heart. Not only do humans have it, animals also have a heart. But there is a difference. In the human heart, how is the human being Mubarakah? This is how human being is Mubarakah. Where is the land? The land of Bakkah in the human being. The human being is someone that Allah says, as the Khalifa, that this human is my Hujjah, my representative. لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Allah says we have given kiramat to the son of Adam. This is what the human being is. Thirdly, where is the Mubarakah in the human body? When Hazrat Maryam brought a baby that was 2 or 3 days old, she brought it to the temple. The Jewish rabbis all ran out and they said, Maryam, what is this child? Your mother was not impure, your dad was not a bad person, you are not married, you are chaste. Where does this baby come from? She pointed, talked to this baby. Quran says, Hazrat Isa opened his mouth. He opened his tongue and he said, Inni Abdullah. Atawani al-kitab. Waja'alani nabiyya. Waja'alani mubarak. Aynama kunt. This is the most important thing. Wherever I am mubarak. Wherever Hazrat Isa is, he is Mubarakan. So the human being is not just confined to Mecca or to Mecca. Wherever the human being is that is connected to Allah is Mubarakan. فيها آيات بينات. What is the clear proof and evidence that Allah says is in the house of Kaaba? What is the clear proof and evidence? You will see, where was Amir al-Mu'mineen born? Where was he born? Inside the Kaaba. فيه آيات بينات. How does Imam al-Zaman introduce his grandfather Amir al-Mu'mineen in Dua Iftitah? اللهم صل على علي أمير المؤمنين ووصي رسول رب العالمين عبدك ووليك وأخي رسولك وآيتك الكبرى والنبأ العظيم.
سبحان الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Hudan lil alamin. This house is Hudan lil alamin. Your heart is a guide for the world. How do we say this? We all know that Quran is a book of guidance. Hudan lil nas wa bayyinatin min al-huda wal furqan. Where was Quran sent down to? Where was Nuzul Quran? Does anyone know? نزلنا على قلبك روح الأمين. So, the first house is the heart Allah has created. Lil nas, everybody has a heart. فيه هدى للعالمين. Inside this heart, Allah has sent down the Quran to the heart of the Prophet. And let me tell you something this. What heart did the Prophet have? How big was this heart of the Prophet? Not in size, but in spirituality. You see, Allah says about the Quran that the Quran is such a heavy thing that if I send it down to a mountain, لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصديا من خشية الله. That if I was to nuzul, send down this Quran onto a mountain, you will see it crumble under the weight of this book. Yet Allah says, نَزَّلْنَا الْقُرْآنَ عَلَىٰ قَلْبِكَ. That this Quran is sent down to the heart of Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد.
So this is Hudan lil Alameen. Then Rasulullah goes on to say this. You see, when I said to you yesterday, Imam Hussein is unique, this is why. Rasulullah said to Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, lahmuka min lahmi, wa damuka min dami, yu'limuni ma yu'lamu, wa yahzunani ma yahzunu, ana harbun liman harabakum, wa silmun liman salamakum, wa adubun liman adakum, wa muhibbun liman ahabbakum, innahu minni wa ana minhum. Right? So he said to Allah, your blood, your tissue, your organs, your life, everything is from me. Yet when he got to Imam Hussein is so unique, he didn't bother breaking any of this down. In one go, he said, Hussein, no, minni, wa ana min Hussein. This means that this heart of Muhammad, that is the place of Nuzul of Quran, is the same heart of Hussein. That Hussein is made from this heart, Rasulullah is made from the same heart. Yeah. What is Hussein? Inna al-Hussein misbahul huda. Hudan lil alameen. So we did ayatul bayinat. Now this point, maqam Ibrahim, faman dakhalahu kana amina. So Imam Sadiq said to Abu Hanifa, what is maqam Ibrahim? He said, I do not know. What is maqam Ibrahim? It is said it is the hope of Ali ibn Abi Talib and his children.
Subhanallah.
That is maqam Ibrahim. You will see, and unfortunately a lot of people, this is what I say when we come to Islam and Deen, look at the nitty-gritties of religion, a lot of people miss this point. When Allah says to Rasulullah after the victory at Mecca, Allah says to him, Azzan nas bil hajj. Go and proclaim to everybody to come and do pilgrimage. Azzan nas bil hajj. There's a word after hajj, and this is the point everyone misses. Allah says, Azzan fil nas bil hajj yatuk. The ayah says, go and call the people, Azzan. They can come by foot, they can come by horse, they can come by riding, they can come from far, they can come from near. But where are they coming? Allah, where are they coming? Yatuk. Towards you, Rasulullah, not towards the house. The Kaaba is a nishan, is a symbol to the Haji does not lose the way. The real Hajj is Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Sallallahu alayhi
اللهم
wa
صل
sallam.
على محمد
Maqam Ibrahim. Whoever has the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib in his heart has got Maqam Ibrahim. Inshallah, over the next few nights we'll talk about the heart in more, but just to finish this ayah of tonight, that you have no doubt, what does Allah say in the Quran about the day of judgment? يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ. It is a day that neither your wealth or your sons will come to any good for you. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهُ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Maqam Ibrahim. What is Maqam Ibrahim? What does Maqam Ibrahim mean? Just very quickly, sorry. What is Maqam Ibrahim? When you go to Hajj, the whole point of Hajj is you go to Hajj and come back as Ibrahimi. That's why it's called Hajj Ibrahimi. It is not called Hajj of Allah. It is called Hajj. So whoever goes to Hajj has to learn from Hazrat Ibrahim and has to come back as an Ibrahim. If they're not, this Hajj is not accepted. So when Imam Sadiq says Maqam Ibrahim is us Ahlul Bayt, what does this mean? That means this, that whoever takes the hope of Ahlul Bayt in their heart, they are safe from the fire. Yes? Yes? وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ. That means whoever's heart enters Ali ibn Abi Talib, kana amina. Yes, Allah says Maqam Ibrahim. So how do you relate Maqam Ibrahim to Ahlul Bayt? And why do I say Imam Hussein is unique? What do we say in Ziyarat al-Warisa? Assalamu alayka ya Warisa Ibrahim al-Khalilullah. This is why, my brothers and sisters, that if Allah has given you Hussein in your heart, you are safe from the fires of hell. إِنَّ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ محبة للحسين إن في قلوب المؤمنين للحسين محبة مكنونة. What does maknuna mean? Maknuna means it's been placed. I have placed the love of Hussein in the heart of mu'mineen. Inshallah. Now that we're talking about Hajj and the rituals of Hajj, and we've gone to Mecca, I always say this, that Karbala Ka'bah ishqast. That's what Karbala is. We have one Kaaba fi Makkah Mubarakah, and we have another Karbala at Mecca in Karbala. And that place is the Nuzul of Ishq. Karbala Ka'bah ishqast. This black shirt, Maman dar ihram. This is my ihram. Yes. Those of you who have been to Hajj, you will know that when you get to Arafat and Mina, and you have to carry out the sacrifice there, all ulama are united in this fatwa, that this thing that you are going to sacrifice, whether it's a sheep or cow, it has to be more than 6 months old. At Darbar al-Sham, when Imam Sajjad said to Yazid that we want our possessions back, he said, as a recompense for what I did, as a recompense for what I did, you can have all your things back. What is it that you want? He said, everything they took from us, bring it back. So he ordered his soldiers, go and tell anybody who took anything from them to bring it back. So they brought back. So he said to Imam Sajjad, is everything complete? He said, no, there are a few items still missing. He said, what is missing? He said, there is an alam that belongs to my uncle Abbas, that is missing. We want it. Okay. What else is missing? There was a shirt my father was wearing. This shirt was what my grandmother, Mrs. Zahra, had knitted with her own hands. We want that shirt back as well. What else is missing? There is a jula. There is a cot that belonged to the 6-month-old. We want that back as well. So Yazid ordered the soldiers to go and bring that back. When they brought him back in one by one. First he brought in the alam, and Yazid, when he saw the alam, he stood up and respected this alam. When they brought the cot in, Hazrat al-Lubab, her eyes fell on this cot. She started to cry, she started to weep. The grief all came back to life. When Hazrat al-Lubab started to cry, every other woman in the majlis started to cry. The majlis became a majlis of azam. Allahu Akbar. You all know this, that when you take to sacrifice to Mina, the sacrifice has to be 6 months old. Imam Hussein on the day of Tasu'ah, the 9th of Muharram, when Umar ibn Sa'd said it is now time to start the war, he said to Hazrat Abbas, go and speak to Umar ibn Sa'd and say to him, give us one more day on this earth. They said, why Ya Hussein? They said, we want to do ibadah, we want to pray. But Imam Hussein in his heart knew this, that Ali ibn al-Asqar was born on the 9th of Rajab. So the 9th of Muharram, Ali ibn al-Asqar was not yet completely 6 months old. On the day of Ashura, Ali ibn al-Asqar would have been 6 months and 1 day old. That means under the rules of fiqh, Ali ibn al-Asqar is now ready to be sacrificed. Allahu Akbar. He brought this 6 month old on his hands. He covered it with his abba. When the enemy saw this, they said, look, Hussein has brought the Quran. He wants to plead with us with the Quran. When he lifted over his abba, they saw a 6 month old baby on his hands. They said, what does Hussein want with this baby? He said, in lam tarhamuni farhamu hadha ar-radhi. If you do not have mercy on Hussein, at least have mercy on this 6 month old child. This son of mine is thirsty. All he needs is just 1 drop of water. Allahu Akbar. Umar ibn Sa'd saw that the army was all starting to cry. They all started to get emotional. He thought Hussein is going to win victory with this. He thought that if they gave Hussein a drop of water, then everything would be finished. So he called Harmala. Harmala, why don't you answer Hussein? He said, oh Amir, who do I target? The father or the son? He said, oh Harmala, do you not see the whiteness of the throat of the 6 month old? When Mukhtar arrested Harmala, he said to Harmala, Harmala, are you not a man of war? How dare you? Did you not have any shame to target a 6 month old? He said, oh Amir Mukhtar, Allah knows that when I got the arrow and I put it in my bow, my hand started to shake. I didn't want to hit the baby, and my hands were shaking. Umar ibn Sa'd saw that my arms were getting weak. He said to me, Harmala, target the baby. He said, Amir is just a baby. He said, Harmala, his name is Ali. When I heard the name Ali, whatever bugs I had in my heart, whatever keener there was in this heart of mine towards Ali ibn Abi Talib, I put it all in that arrow and targeted that baby. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I said that they beheaded all the Shahada of Karbala so they could all take a trophy for Ibn Ziyad. When one of the heads of one of the smaller armies, he came and he said, is there any heads left for me? They said, no, all the heads have been taken from Bani Hashim. So he said, but I also need a head to take to Ibn Ziyad. One of his soldiers said, I saw Hussein take the 6 month old baby and bury it behind the tents. Imam Hussein, the only body that he buried personally was the body of the 6 month old. Allahu Akbar, Allah. He said, where did Hussein bury it? They said, oh Amir, it is behind the tents. He said, let me go myself and find this. What are we going to do? Are we going to dig up the body? No, get the spear. He got the spears and he would stick it into the ground like this until finally he hit the 6 month old body. He pulled it up out of the ground. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They had no mercy, these people. He beheaded the 6 month old. It is written in all the traditions, the enemies have written this, that there was 2 heads at Karbala when they took towards Kufa and Sham. There was 2 heads that was lightened more than any of the other heads. They glowed more than any other heads. One was the head of Abul Fazl al-Abbas. The other head was of the 6 month old baby. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين فسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون يا رب الحجة بحق الحجة اشف صدر الحجة بظهور الحجة. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم.